welcome, Dujon, to Modern Endpoint Management, the modern talk with OCs. So, Dujon, let's have your name, age, personal status, and where do you live?
Let's see. My name, Dujon Walsham. Age, no comment. It's 34, but only just. Just, personal status. Hmm. How would I describe my personal status?
I don't know. Are
I'll
you
go.
married?
Oh, I'm not. I'm not. No, no. I'll.
Girlfriend?
Yeah. Yes. Well, dating at the moment, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I mean, personal status. I would have just said, alive. really, but yeah. But yeah, I'll stick with that.
I mean, in these COVID days, right? Alive, it's a good way to set your personal status. Yeah,
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
great.
Absolutely.
And where do you live in this big world?
So I live in the UK. Specifically, I live in Swindon, Wiltshire, which is kind of more the countryside of the UK. Well, originally, I was mainly in London, so I moved up here about 4 years ago.
Okay. So is it nice to get away from the city and the pulsing life and all that?
Oh yeah. It absolutely is. I mean, I enjoy a lot more of the sort of the quietness, as opposed to more of the actual the city life, the busyness of everything, and actually being able to be somewhere where the car can actually drive. So
Oh.
yeah.
That sounds great. So, I mean, in Denmark, we have a lot of bicycles, and so if you are in the city, you would go with the bicycle because it's much faster when you go. Is it the same in London?
It's exactly how it is in London. Yeah,
Okay.
there's probably more cyclists than there is cars these days, and they've
Hmm.
even got their own lanes now. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's maybe that's a great idea because I mean the bicycles are insane in Copenhagen.
yeah.
It's like they have 9 lives. Uh, Hello, I'm a car. I can drive you down.
Yep, London is exactly like that.
Yeah, it's like they are invincible, right?
Mm.
They cannot. Yeah, really crazy. So okay, so you live up north of London. I mean, UK is a very large country compared to Denmark, at least,
Mhm.
and very long. And you have Scotland and Ireland and
Yeah,
Wales also.
yeah.
Still,
I'm actually not too far from Wales, actually.
ah, nice.
Yeah.
So, what do you like to do in spare time?
Um, depends really. I suppose at the moment, I'm kind of very into sort of things like the crypto spaces. So I mean, outside of work, I mean, I'll do a lot of stuff like that. I tend to pick up a lot of general stuff as well. I'm quite a sports enthusiast, so I watch a lot of sort of competitive sports like boxing and MMA and those kind of things as well. And then at the moment as well, or because it's blurry at the moment, you can't actually see the piano keyboard at the back, but there's a little element of that as well at the same time. But and then some form of collection, like collecting stuff as well. So I like to collect a lot of music based stuff as well. So yeah, that's kind of a good
Hmm,
mixture outside
that
of yeah.
that's cool. So do you actually play these instruments?
Yeah. I do play the piano quite a bit, so I was sort of going in and out of writing some sheet music as well. But sometimes with so much things that I do in IT, sometimes it goes in and out. But yeah, every now and then I do pick it back up.
Hmm. I That's nice to do some totally different from the
Yeah.
IT daily job, right? Yeah, in music, it's just you can express yourself in some other ways than just sitting and do a blog post, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
yeah. So how long have you been in the business, IC business?
Oh, wow. This is really showing my age now. Oh, I think about 15 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
about 15 years, yeah.
it's about the same for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, but 15 years, that's a lot. And then you've seen a lot of stuff, and you've definitely been in the on-prem world, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, cloud is not that new, right? It's just mm, outsourcing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
We've
it's definitely evolved.
we've we've done that for many years.
Mm,
Just haven't had so great internet lines.
yeah,
So I mean, maybe it's because of the better internet we have now. It's a success that Azure and AWS and all these cloud services is
yeah,
actually a success.
yeah, yeah. They definitely are.
Mm. Ah, that's cool. So, which company do you work at?
Um, well, at the moment, I actually operate a couple of my own businesses. So I've got the Walsham solution side because I'm primarily a contractor on that side of things, and then recently I've got the founder and chief Microsoft Technologies of a new business called Protect Org. So yeah, I'm kind of sort of split between doing a lot of working on between those two at the moment, which is it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of variation of different elements of work building up two different areas. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Hmm. It sounds like you're busy.
I am.
And I see your name there. You have the MVP as well. So I guess you are juggling a lot in the different.
Oh yeah.
Is these jobs, is that like freelance, or is it your own company that you shown? Yeah.
So
Oh, it was Walsham. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Walsham Solutions is kind of more, I guess, like the freelancing side, but then it's also an actual real business as well. Protect Org is primarily way more of a business than the sort of Walsham Solutions side, but yeah.
Hmm. Uh, nice. So I guess you have been working home as all others during this pandemic, and but how has it been for you during this pandemic?
Um, I would say the only real major difference that I've seen is the fact that a lot more organizations are, I guess, more encouraging of the sort of work from home culture these days. I mean, before the actual pandemic, it was sort of a luxury to sort of work from home every couple of days or so. But then I think the perception of it changed a lot more when you have to work from home now. So and then everyone's closing down their offices as well. So there's a lot more sort of room to sort of get to know more of the work from home life, especially when it comes to meetings and everyone is virtually based now. So I think we've gotten used to it, but the same time, there's a lot of people that's yearning more of sort of getting out there and getting back into the office as well. But I'm actually quite happy working from home, to be honest.
Yeah. Um, I guess everybody needs to be social at some point, and but having these uh, driving back and forth, the commuting, I guess having not to do that anymore is it's like, okay, I save a lot of time before work and after work. And then if you are like MVP or OC or something like that, you can spend that time and you can add it, and then actually you have all the time you need for blogging and all that stuff that
Yeah.
really was a big pressure before, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it definitely was. I think when I was doing the blogging around then, I think I somehow found ways to sort of get around it. But yeah, definitely working from home does make it a lot easier to sort of kind of bring up content a lot quicker as well. So
Mm, yeah. So I guess if you're freelance and stuff, consultants at least, if you're working from home, it can be quite difficult to actually read the customer as if you were there on site. So how is your business working from home on that side of things?
Um, I would say because of the lot of the clients and some of the projects I work on now, I guess I'm lucky in a sense where most of it doesn't necessarily require me to have to sort of perform tasks or project tasks which actually may need you to be on site. So you might have things where it might involve things like build rooms and building computers, or there might be some things where even on like a security perspective, things might be very locked down, and then you might have to go on site anyway. But I think a lot of that is actually changing as well, and I think a lot of them are also adapting to more of the work from home side of things as well. I definitely think Teams has definitely
Hmm.
made that a lot easier as well, especially with sharing the screen and then even getting more innovative and having Teams on your phone and then just putting the camera on and then switching it the other way around and just say, hey, this server is on fire.
Hmm. Yeah, Teams. It's really a good thing, and when it's not working, it's like ah,
Oh yeah, it's a disaster.
it's a dust. Yeah, exactly. And during the pandemic, uh, it couldn't follow, right? All the cloud services, it was just too much
Yeah.
load for Microsoft. Yeah. So the quality was like, okay, let's go on to low quality, and then we might get our call through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next question is, how many hours do you put into this job or to the different jobs?
That's where work from home has its horrible, horrible downside because I think when you work from home, I don't even think you even have an end time. I don't even think you have an end time. I think literally the moment you wake up is literally when you start. But I think I think when more discipline comes into play, I think you start to sort of understand how to sort of structure the day so that you don't just sort of wake up and then just go right into work. And then because you have a tendency to where when you work from home, you can immediately work right through sort of like a standard 1 hour break that you would have if you was to work in the office. So that is sort of the downside in that way, but it just takes a bit of structuring and understanding on how to sort of progress the day. But I try to keep the day within sort of the normal-ish, if you want to call it normal, sort of 8-ish, 9 hours a day. But then you never know what kind of things can come up, and I'm just glad that I'm not part of a 24-hour support or on call out.
Yeah, I could imagine yeah. So I guess this is the answer I get from the OCs and the MEPs, right? So
Mm.
so you have like 7.5, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and then you also have the blogging on the side, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so it easily gets to like 45, 50 hours a week. Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So it's not because it's easy to actually be a MVP. You need to somewhat give to the community, otherwise you're
Yeah,
not entitled to continue that next year, right?
yeah, yeah,
So one of the things that MVP said is that, okay, now you really have to push blocks out there, but no, you don't. You just have to continue what
mm,
you have been doing, right?
mm,
So yeah, okay, that's great to hear. But yeah, at least from my side, I mean, I also put a lot of evening hours in blogging,
yeah,
but who knows? Maybe I could settle with less material out there. But you know, when it becomes a hobby,
yeah,
you could say it really doesn't matter, right? If you
yeah,
like it, why don't? So
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. All right. Thanks so much for that. When did you become a OC for this group?
Um, I think it was sort of near the end of last year. Yeah, I think it was something like near, yeah, about roughly near the end of last year, that I became the one of the official contributors. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And what do you think of the group so far?
Yeah, so yeah, the group is definitely evolved very, very quickly from the time when I became an official contributor as well. And before I was actually a member of the group, let alone be an official contributor, I always used to frequent the forums around TechNet, especially around the spaces that I specialize in as well. But since when that migrated off and started to get closed down, this particular group definitely now sort of owns that particular space, especially around the SDTM and enterprise mobility stuff. And particularly LinkedIn wasn't necessarily a place that you would go to sort of get involved with technical groups like that. There are a lot of groups, but this particular one, I think definitely is adding so much to the community, and especially to the actual technical culture and the amount of contributions and knowledge and articles and tips that you get from there is just it's just phenomenal at the moment. I've not seen any group like this, so it's definitely brilliant to see its growth over time.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree on that. So you mentioned that TechNet and other forums. So if this group was not did not exist and you would like to seek information, so what was that like before this LinkedIn group? Where would you do that?
Um, well, I would say probably TechNet would have been probably my very heaviest source of information. There are some parts of forums like Reddit as well, that's got some parts there. But then there's a lot of people that actually had their own websites and they was doing their own content anyway. So I think naturally when you search for certain things, a lot of their websites would come up as well. And I think that's probably one of the motivations there for me when it comes to the blogging space on my side as well, is that I wanted to sort of be the one of the others that was sort of the go-to for information on how to resolve something or a guide to something or sort of exploring or exposing sort of new stuff that was out there as well. So
Hmm. Yeah, I guess Google will also help you on topics that if you have some weird error, something 0x and then eight ciphers, it's like,
oh yeah.
what is this? And you go and Google it, and you get like a million hits on that. And
Yeah.
guess Google is a big source of, yeah, helping us out here as IT pros, right?
Oh yeah.
So great to hear. What tech areas do you like to cover if you really want to go in the mode of blogging something cool?
um terms of the tech areas, I mean, besides besides like the enterprise mobility and the system center side, um my tech areas are quite varied because I do a lot of things around things like the sort of the BI side, like Power BI, and I do a lot of stuff on sort of custom reports and dashboards and those kind of things as well. I may cover things around scripting, and then even in some cases now, even some developing as well. I definitely try it and sort of pick up every kind of new skill possible because there's just so much collaboration and integration with other technologies now. I think it gets to the point where you might actually specialize in one technology, but then you find that they start integrating with others, and then you end up working pretty much on everything really. So you end up becoming quite generalistic, even though you might actually have a specialization in one specific area. So
Mm.
it's gotten a lot more interesting, especially on the tech areas that I cover as well.
Yeah, got you there. Got you there. So, just let's take an example for example the System Center suite, right? Uh, um, I was very specialized in the config manager part, but not the service manager or the other parts of that suite. But I saw some time ago that you actually do one of the other system centers. Is that the what areas do you cover in that?
So I would say, well, with the exception of SCCM, SCOM is another one that I do a lot of work on, and even developed an application in sort of support of SCOM. Funny enough, SCOM was actually the first system center product I ever worked on before I even worked on SCCM. It was actually SCOM, then Virtual Machine Manager, then it got to SCCM. So yes, SCCM was actually the third one that I actually worked on. So, but yeah, but yes, I think SCOM, SCCM, Service Manager, and Orchestrator. I think those are the primary ones that I work on. There hasn't been too much demand for things like DPM, and even virtual machine manager is there, and sometimes it's not, but yeah,
Hmm.
otherwise, yeah, those are the four the main ones that I tend to work on.
Yeah. So operations manager, right? SCOM. Is that very much alive still, or is every loads work going towards Azure?
um I think SCOM is very much alive, and I think even with it just being primarily on premise, I think it's still quite it's still got a very big place in the monitoring side of things. um there are some early adopters going more into the sort of Azure side and integrating it with SCOM and log analytics and those kind of things. But it's not. I think it's starting to grow a little bit more, but I think a lot of people are tending to use SCOM kind of more on premise until they sort of see something that really sticks out and stands out and actually answers their needs to when it gets to sort of more of this Azure cloud space kind of things. I mean, I see a lot of places try to replace SCOM with other third-party tools, and they still can't really match up to how powerful SCOM is. I mean, I think the essence of the system center products is that the products can do pretty much anything and everything. It's just that it just takes someone to sort of know how to unlock them. And I think with the right type of tools and thought processes, you can really unlock all of the products to do pretty much anything and everything. It's just they're just sort of very big molds of clay to sort of work with.
Hmm. Yeah. That's my experience as well. So in the Azure space, we have Sentinel and then Log Analytics. And
Yeah.
is they are they the equivalent to SCOM on-prem?
Um. I think they've got a little while before they can actually sort of satisfy every single thing that an on-prem SCOM can actually do. I think log analytics works quite well, but then because I see a lot of organizations getting to that point where they might not want to go fully over there, so they sort of stick with an integration between SCOM and log analytics as well. I have seen a few places suffer in terms of trying to put their monitoring in log analytics, but then they end up getting very huge bills at the same time trying to
Yeah.
replicate the exact same kind of monitoring for log analytics. So I think there's a bit of tug of war going on there in terms of which area to sort of go to. But I think a lot are trying to stick with sort of being in the middle before they
Hmm.
can work out exactly where they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say that exactly the bill on the Log Analytics
Mm.
workspace. So It's if you get a lot of data up there, it's quite expensive
Yeah,
to run that. So I guess if you have servers on-prem and you are able to host a SCOM, maybe that's still the solution, and maybe it's still the most cheapest model, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So you mostly cover the enterprise mobility space, which you are MVP at, right?
yeah.
And then the System Center Suite universe on-prem.
Hmm.
That's a huge area,
Yeah.
Dujon. So I guess you're quite busy at doing that. So, and that was exactly what I was referring to when I saw or talking about the blog post. I saw that okay, SCOM is something that you really do a lot.
Yeah.
So, if you should name some of your publications that makes you proud, or something you could show to the viewers, do you have any good post or any good solution that you could maybe demo for us?
Yeah, yeah. I've actually got three. It took a while, but yeah, I've actually got three that I could actually show.
Cool.
Right, let's see. Um, I'll just try and share some of my screen. Let's see what we've got here.
Yeah,
Okay, right. So, right. Can you see that?
I can see that.
Right, okay. So yeah, so one of the three is this article here. So this is the let's see, the migration from on-premise to Intune. And I was quite proud of this one because one, I think this might have been well, it was one of the first blog series that I've done on the enterprise mobility side as well. And I think this the motivation for this come from working on a lot of projects where there's a lot of organizations that are very indecisive on sort of where they want to go, especially when it comes to more of managing everything from Intune and having sort of a modern workplace management. And I know that a lot of organizations tend to sort of stay stuck in between where they might have sort of a co-managed type of setup. Ranging from various reasons why they can't actually migrate completely from one side to another. So, what this series did was not just talk about how to just get from on-premise to Intune step by step on like on a sort of a technical basis, but it was a series based on sort of looking at it on a design approach to seeing what you actually have, the benefits that you would get from moving, how you are as you are at the moment, and sort of the restrictions that you might have going forward. So it gives the reader a more unbiased and clearer look on sort of everything that can happen and what's happening now and what can actually happen. So yeah, it's definitely a good way of sort of understanding where your next steps would actually be. So it's not doesn't actually say that you should necessarily migrate your stuff from on-premise to Intune, but I think it just gives you more of a fuller insight of the actual overall benefit, so you know exactly which way to go. So yeah,
So it's helping you on the strategy.
yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
a really good post, I
Yeah,
believe. I've read the most of them. I remember.
yeah. Yeah, I think this was, I can't remember. I think this might have been five or six parts or something like that. So I always tend to start the first one with sort of being an introduction, sort of
Mm,
what the series is about, and then it sort of builds up from there really. But yeah, I was actually quite proud of this series because I worked on so many projects, so I had so much knowledge and ideas to sort of get off of it, and yeah, so that was how this series pretty much developed from here.
mm.
That's one of them.
So and what is in this series is also you're mapping the wordings from what do you have in Config Manager and what is the equivalent on Intune, right? If I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
wrong.
that was exactly it. And then sort of breaking up the article into certain sections, and then those sections would then end up becoming the next part of the series as well. So it sort of dives in a lot more to sort of examine all of the options and all of the areas that you've got, so that
Yeah.
anyone wanted to sort of go a certain area could know exactly what they should do.
So that's actually a huge work from your side, and really valuable for the viewers here. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, Dujon.
Mhm.
So the next you have is that in the list here.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So the second one, so this one is an article I did, and this is kind of more primarily with more of the SCOM side of things. And the reason why this was one that I was actually very proud of, well, one is because of the actual journey of this actual article, because if we actually look, this article is sort of based around an application which I developed alongside the other company which I um, founded, being Protect.org, and this was basically about a solution that can actually create management packs from scratch. And this article basically just compares different technologies that can create management packs, and what what's and how the actual process and structure is, because the creating a management pack is actually an extremely complicated process. Whether you actually know what you're doing or not, it can still be quite a complicated process. So I basically came up with a solution which could enable you to create a management pack not only extremely quickly but also at the same quality and level, without actually having to sort of be a sort of like a developer type level to understand sort of how to write code like XML and other areas like that. So it actually started off being a PowerShell script maybe 6 years ago, and then it went from a PowerShell script all the way to an application written in C#.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's definitely something that I was very proud of in terms of this article, to sort of see the sort of the journey it went through over a matter of years.
Mm. Yeah, I can certainly see the use case here. So, just to understand, the management pack is it's like a box of a lot of pinpointers that you go and have the SCOM to check for, right? And have alerts on different things, right? So you
Yeah,
input that into SCOM, and then you have this alert package, and yeah.
yeah. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much how they work. Yeah,
Mm,
and developing management packs. It's a very, very tricky process, because there's a lot of guides, there's a lot of blogs, and there's a lot of and there's a few applications that are out there that do actually make the process easier. But I've just felt like there's a lot of them that are, whilst they're out there, unless you have some kind of developer knowledge, sort of maybe beyond the scope of what you might know as like a as a SCOM administrator, it might be very tricky to sort of understand exactly how to write one. So what I wanted to do was bridge the gap between people who sort of knew how to sort of write something like that with maybe more of a developer state of mind, as opposed to someone who has no knowledge on how to create something like that at all, but
mm,
then also can learn exactly how management pack works and how the structure is built from the ground up. So sort of eradicate having two groups of sort of not knowing, and then one completely knowing, and then therefore you just have a group of people that just can create a management pack, and that's it.
mm. Yeah. So this is true OC and MVP style, making an app to make the management packs of SCOM really easy.
Yeah.
That's a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's look fairly easy. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not a Visual Studio shark myself, but
Mm.
I do follow the steps you have in here, and
Yeah.
I think it looks manageable for someone like me as well. So good job.
Yeah.
And the third block you have there,
Ah,
it looks like AVS to me.
funny enough, this is an interesting one. So this one actually isn't a block. This is actually a book that I actually wrote.
Whoa,
Yeah.
you're a
Um,
book writer.
yeah, yeah. So this book was written about actually almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years. Well, yeah. Well, actually, over 2 years ago now. Actually, so this book, this was written because I was actually doing another blog series a couple of years back, and it was more of a personal one, and this was more about the journey of actually getting into the IT industry, because my background is I actually started off in IT when I just about turned 18, and I took a private course at the time at a place called Just IT, and at that time I was the first 18-year-old to do an adult course at that place.
Hmm.
So the sort of journey to sort of go into the IT industry from 18, and it meant a lot to me because there's so much experiences to sort of go through, especially when you first want to get into IT, the first IT job, everything, the amount of interviews that I had to go through and exams and all kind of stuff. So what I basically did was document that whole journey and turned it into a book. So it covered from when I first started and maybe about 5, 6 years in, because there's a lot of people that wanted to get into the IT industry at the moment. So I wanted to sort of create a book that sort of made people aware of sort of what to expect when they go through the same journey as well. So yeah, that was pretty much my motivation for writing the book.
Hmm. That's pretty cool to actually write a book. I mean, that takes a lot of effort to actually do that and have reviewers and yeah.
Hmm?
How long is it?
It's about, yeah, about 158
Oh, it says already.
pages. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I should learn to read.
No, I'm glad it said it because I would have had to guess.
So, okay, so how long did it take you to write such a book?
um, I think maybe about space over about a couple of months, few months. It actually started off with me actually just typing little bits of memories that I had about certain parts of the journey that I went through at that time, and I was doing it on my phone. But then I think but then more and more material started to actually build up from it, and then so I was able to sort of structure it together, and then it ended up turning into a book because I was actually doing a couple of blog posts sort of about some of the experiences that I went through when I first started, and then because of the reception that it got, it ended up turning into a book, really. Yeah. So
Hmm. Wow. So yeah, you can get a book here, and then you can buy yourself a Christmas sweater as well. So
yeah,
yeah, guess
yeah,
then you have two stuff for the tree, right? The Christmas tree. So
yeah.
definitely. So is a big seller? Or how do you have some numbers on the book, or is that secret?
I I think the stats on the sales are probably even secret to me. um, but the only thing I remember was when it actually came out. I think it was in the top 15 or top 10 seller for a little while, but then Amazon might. I'm not sure what sort of the book sales are like when things first come out, but I'll
Hmm,
take being top 10 for a little while.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's absolutely cool.
Oh,
Wow. Congratulations on that.
hmm,
Really,
thank you.
really cool. Yeah. It's like rock stars creating books. I mean, wow. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, because I mean, I've seen there's a lot of people that actually created a lot of technical based books, and I actually did want to go down that route at first because that was one of the first things I did want to do. But then because I've actually sort of done a lot of sort of webinars and sort of speeches to sort of the younger guys about sort of advice about getting into the IT industry, I thought maybe I'll just take a different approach and maybe write a book, maybe more something geared towards that. Yeah.
So you're like an entrepreneur and a coach at the same level.
Possibly,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah. I mean, you're MVP and you are official contributor, and I mean that is crazy. That is really crazy. So good job, good
Thank you.
job. So, Dujon, if you were to give any tips or tricks that you want to pass on to the viewers here, now that you've done a lot of blog posts, you are very good at writing. You have this book and etc. So if we should go and not do the same as the other OCs, and then you should pass on a trick, maybe from this motivation book, what would that be?
Tips and tricks. I would say I think the best tip or the trick I could give is probably this. So I guess maybe kind of relating to the book, and I guess in general now, is when I first started in IT, I basically wanted to work on anything and everything. That was it. I had no specialization. I didn't want to say, yeah, I wanted to focus on this. I just wanted to see everything. I just wanted to do everything. That was me. That was me.
Mm,
I literally wanted to work on everything. And I think the best thing about that way of thinking is that when you sort of have a more generalistic approach, I think you get to more find yourself technically on what you want to do. But I think you develop a foundational understanding on everything. And I think that's probably the most important thing before you can actually decide to say, okay, this is the area that I actually want to actually sort of specialize in, or this is the actual area that I wanted to go in. Because it took a few years for me to actually understand where exactly I wanted to be. Because when I was sort of fortunate enough to sort of progress through um, different positions quite quickly from sort of going first line, second line, third line. I pretty much went there very quickly because of that way of thinking. I mean, at that those particular times, I was doing about 3 or 4 Microsoft exams a year at that point. So
mm,
I was very driven to sort of to wanting to know and understand everything. And I think once you sort of build that foundation um, and understanding of everything, then I think you are sort of in the best position to say, okay, this is sort of the area that you really want to go for. And yeah, that's pretty much the probably the best tip or trick I can give. Once you know anything and everything, then yeah, you've definitely got a good understanding of where they want to go.
mm, yeah. So a good interest in IT and be hungry.
Yeah,
Is that the tip?
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
it's a
pretty
great
much.
tip. It's a really great tip. So with that, I just want to say thank you, Duchamp, for being here in the interview, and for the viewers, thank you very much for today.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Hey.